Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dadsigner podcast. I'm Michael Smith, your host, and today I'm joined by Dan Bradley. Hey, Dan, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on. And why don't you tell folks a little bit about who you are, what you do, and a bit about your family?
So, my name is Dan Bradley. I am a designer. I guess I started in about 2005, 2006 when I was in design college. Started out doing MySpace banners for bands, goofy stuff like that. Slowly got into the progression of working with local bands, got heavily into photography. I started photographing a lot of album artwork. Um, Worked with a lot of friends who were in bands. Um, a company called Sons of Nero, my buddy Portland owned. We were doing a lot of different cool band artwork, shooting cool stuff in my garage and everything. Since then, I kind of got into. It's funny because when I was in college, I was like, I'm never going to be the guy who designs logos. It's like the most boring thing ever. Um, when I was in college, I was offered an interview at an agency called Tyranny in Philadelphia. And my teacher was like, "Yeah, I want you to go on this interview, and I think you'll be a great fit for it." And I told him, I was like, "No." I was like, "I don't want to be the guy like designing brochures and logos. I want to do like artwork. I want to do cool stuff." So I gave it to my buddy, and he still works there apparently, like 13 years later, which is cool. And now, so I took that progression, and now I strictly focus on brand identity, oddly enough, and branding. Majority in the fitness space and the wellness space. I started doing work for a brand called Rise Above Fitness years ago, and we kind of transformed the brand from what it was into like kind of like an edgy, heavy metal style fitness brand, which really there was no space for at the time. And we kind of pioneered that a little bit. That was kind of cool, and then everything kind of snowballed from there. I started working with a lot of bigger fitness brands, bigger names, and that's been good.
Nice. Um, Tierney still exists, yes?
It does. I believe they're like a huge agency in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There aren't a ton of Philly-based creative agencies, so to be successful for that long is impressive.
Yeah, and it's crazy because the amount of times that I've looked back over the years and I'm like, man, if I would have just taken that job, I probably would have been making so much money. It would have been so much easier. But then I'm like, yeah, but I wouldn't be able to do all this cool stuff. I wouldn't be able to meet cool people. I wouldn't be able to do podcasts, take my daughter to school every day in the morning, pick her up. So, I mean, there are a lot of awesome trade offs that I'm happy to take on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, tell us a little bit about the family and structure there.
Yeah, so my wife and I, we've been married for, she's going to kill me if I forget, 13. We got married. Moved over from Philadelphia to New Jersey, had a house built, had our daughter in 2016. She just turned 9. Man, it's been great ever since then. Like, totally transformed my entire life. Like, when I had her, just like completely like reborn the person that I was. And yeah, man, that's cool. Just to watch her grow. We talked a little bit before the show and about how quickly you don't realize how the time passes by. And now here we are 9 years later, and looking back, and I'm just like, Jesus, this is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. We were saying the difference between a 9-year-old is almost fourth grade, and then like high school isn't that far away. It's like a couple years. And when I was in it, when I was in elementary school or when I was even in middle school, it's like God, high school's never going to be done. I can't wait. It's felt like forever. And now that, we have an 11-year-old, it's just right up on us. And the amount of years that we're looking at that are left for us to have her in our house, it's just so few. So yeah, trying to capitalize on all those moments.
Yeah, it's funny, the other day yesterday, my wife was taking my daughter to play soccer at a field, and it was crazy. You know how hot it is here, and my daughter comes down in, like, this tank top, like, up to here with, like, high shorts. I'm like, "Baby, what are you wearing?" She's like, "Dad, this is what I saw girls wearing this at soccer." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no." Like, put a shirt on.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens so quick, almost overnight. And then your brand right now, um, is Devil Brand Co. But as we were talking a little bit beforehand, it might be in transition. Tell us a little bit about that.
Correct. So, yeah, I used to go by Dan Bradley Design. I kind of was like, you know what, it's a little bit lame to use your name. So I was like, I'll change it. Just I got tired of it after so long. So I was like, you know what? I'll change it to DBC, Devil Brand Company. Didn't really think about it. I was like, it's a cool name, it's edgy, whatever. So fast forward however many years later, last fall, I was just kind of like, you know what, I really need to change this. It kind of hit me when I was working with a brand who was a nonprofit, like Christian brand. We were doing the annual report for, and my buddy goes, "Hey, they were wondering who Devil Brand was. Like, what's that about?" And I was like, "Man, that is a terrible look if I'm working with like this Christian nonprofit." And ever since then, I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't identify with that. That name was just kind of like something I thought would be cool. So I changed it to Active Brand Company. And obviously, because I work heavily within the fitness community supplements, I just thought it was a more suitable name. And I've been working on getting that together. We spoke previously off camera, and I told you that everything happened with my dad. I plan to launch in early this year, and then it just went to hell. And I'm kind of getting back into it now. And I'll be thankful if I can get it launched by the end of this year. That will be I will consider this year a complete success for me if I can just get the website completed, the case studies done, and get away from that name. It's just not a relatable thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the work that's currently on Devil Brand Co. you were saying is a lot of, I mean, it's good work, but it's a lot of stuff like pre 2020.
Yeah, it's a lot older work. I believe the Swolverine project, the rebrand that we did for them, that was 2018. So that's quite an old project. Um, which is cool because it still looks current. I mean, I guess that's a cool thing. You can look back and you're like, man, I think that's work still looks cool.
It does, and it's a killer name,
Yeah,
Swolverine. I'm assuming the W with the three lines is somewhat indicative of Wolverine's. I don't even know what you call those. His claw, his
yeah, yeah.
metal.
It was a little bit. It was kind of their suggestion when they
Okay.
came to me with the brand. They were called Elevate Nutrition, I believe, and they had come to me and they were like, "Well, we want to rebrand," and I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do it." And they're like, "We want to call it Swolverine," and immediately I was like, "Man, that's a tough name. I don't understand it." But they're great people, man. Walter is a great guy, and I'm just so proud of everything we did for that brand. And I still continue to work with them, and just growing them over the years has been amazing.
Yeah. So you do a ton of work in the fitness industry, and Devil Branco is the name of the company. How did working with a Christian nonprofit come to be? Was that through a connection, or was someone, you know, in house secretly just like, we're going to hire this guy?
Yeah, this guy's cool. Devil brand. They're gonna love this. No. So I worked for a company called Forefathers Group, which is kind of a design agency. They specialize in web. I worked with them probably for about 3 years consistently on retainer. And I've been working with them back since they were called Sons of Nero in 2006, doing album artwork. So I've known them for quite a long time. And they had this client and it was a religious nonprofit. And they were like, well, we have to design their annual report every year in Figma. So I was like, okay. So it gave me a chance to learn Figma and do a tedious annual report every year. And yeah, they mentioned the devil thing. And as soon as he told me, I was like, man, that's horrible. Like they're probably like, what the hell is this? What are they doing?
Uh, you had to design it in Figma. How I'm assuming you've designed annual reports before, or at least print booklets, but you've probably done it in InDesign.
Mhm.
What was it like for your first time using Figma coming from InDesign?
It was, well, I don't use, to be fair, I don't use InDesign a lot. I haven't used it since probably I've done album layouts, which has been years. I don't really take on too many annual report style projects or anything of that nature. But it was tough, man. Figma was like, the guy Jonathan who works at Four Fathers Group is heavily into Figma, and he's like a wizard at it. Like he could have written the programming for it. And when I first used it, I'm just looking at it. I'm just like, this is hard. Like I have no idea what I'm looking at. I have no idea how to do it. He showed me. He's like, just auto group this and do this, and I'm like, dude, this is horrible. Like it would take me to do a spread like 5 hours just trying to figure everything out. I didn't even clock all the time that I did just because I felt so horrible because I was learning it at the same time. But it was difficult, man. It was definitely, it's a lot harder to learn when you're 37 than it is.
For sure. There's been multiple times in my career where I have to use a new program for a specific output. So, like for example, I used Photoshop. I was a photographer, like did a ton of Photoshop work. And then I went to this company and they're like, "Yeah, we lay out all of our web pages using Photoshop." I'm like, "That's fine." Like and this was, I mean, early 20 2011, 2012. So this was a while ago. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. And I got in there and I was just like, oh, this is a completely different use case for this tool. And it slowed me down so much, almost to the point of like, am I even can I even design? Because
Yeah.
I just feel so like hamstrung that I can't use this tool effectively.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Like there were times when I was designing in Figma for those guys, and I was just like sitting there questioning like my ability. I'm like, I know I can do this stuff. Like I fly through design work, and I'm sitting here struggling just to like auto group a few things of text on a menu, and this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. How has your freelance design work impacted your family life? I know you mentioned that you have a full-time role as well. Do you use it to augment it for creative freedom? What is your, what is your why behind having the freelance on the side?
So the freelance stuff, like I said, I have the full time job, and it's crazy because people just automatically assume that I freelance 100% just because the amount of work that I'm able to show. I don't really post anything about my day job. It just pays my bills and stuff. But yeah, the freelance stuff, man, I always like, even when I was in design college, I was doing a ton of work for myself. I was doing a lot of photography. And I got heavily into just freelancing and just networking with different people. And I just always thought that I would be kind of working for myself. I never saw myself in the position where where I would be working at an agency, like cleaning up photos or like cutting out images for whatever. So I was kind of just like, I'm not doing that. Like I have to figure this out somehow, even if I have to work my day job and freelance till 3 o'clock in the morning. I like it has to somehow work. Um, and it's just kind of been that kind of mindset for me, I guess. I guess I don't mind working for someone else if I really had to, but since I have the opportunity to kind of work my day job and then in my free time I get to do what I love to do and create cool brands for amazing people who I've come to know over the years. I mean, that's kind of like why I got into design in the first place.
Hmm.
So I guess that's a big part of it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the projects is Montana Knife Company, MKC Tactical. Tell us a little bit about that project. And it's adjacent to the fitness and active lifestyle, but it's kind of, you know, not right in that vein. So tell us a little bit about that.
It is, yeah, that's a cool one. So Brandon, one of the, I guess he's the co-owner of Montana Knife Company. We've been kind of friends. Let's say friends, internet friends, Instagram friends for a while. He used to work with a brand called Flag Nor Fail doing their photography. And I followed him for a long time. And I always used to message him. I'm like, man, your work is so beautiful. Like, we have to figure out how to work together. Like, the photos that he shot were just stunning. Um, and I've always admired the things that he did. And then he started Montana Knife Company with a guy named Josh Smith. Um, he's a knife maker from Montana, and they kind of build it from the ground up. Like there's no funding or anything. It's kind of funded by them, and they're just naturally growing. So I've worked with them from the very beginning, possibly even before they launched the first knife. I can't even remember. I did a couple apparel releases for them and a bunch of different stuff, and then they started to release the idea of a tactical knife division, which is awesome. So they geared it towards like special operations officers, and they would have it like on their kit while they were in, I guess, the army or whatever. So they came to me and they're like, "Hey, listen, we want you to do the branding for it and all the apparel. We have the style, and we trust you. Just do whatever you want, do your thing." And it was cool, man. I'm so proud of it. I have the knife sitting on my desk. I just keep it sitting on my desk just to remind myself how cool it is.
Nice.
But yeah, so that was a big one for me. That was probably, I would say, one of the biggest projects that I worked on to date, just because of the amount of exposure and just how amazing they are. The growth that they're seeing is just, it's amazing to have such like a, I don't want to say a big part, but a smaller role in that company to help kind of propel them to where they want to be. And it's just cool to be trusted by people like that and just like, here, do your thing, we trust you, do whatever. And it was kind of one of those things where it was like, no revisions, we'll take it, we love it. And I was like, cool.
That's awesome. That's really cool. One of the things that I've noticed and kind of admired from afar as I've, followed you, gotten to know you on, this call and whatnot, is your intentionality. And I think like you can see that in like the brands that you create, but I also could see it in the way you talk about your family. So you guys recently went on a vacation and something happened to your phone. Maybe you left your phone at home and you're like, well, I guess I'm going to be offline. And you were like excited about it because of the opportunity it would afford you to just be super present. What was that experience like? And yeah, like how do you think about being a dad, um, and being intentional with all these different things that you have going on?
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned that because I was in the midst of delivery on about two projects. I had two clients waiting for deliverables from me, a presentation. And I kind of didn't tell anybody that I was going away because I fully intended to kind of work a little bit through the vacation. But initially, when we planned the vacation, my daughter was like, "Daddy, you can't work." And I was like, "Baby, I promise I'm not going to work. Like, I won't work. I promise you." So we got about 2 hours away. We were at a Wawa getting something to eat. And I was just like, I told my wife, I was like, "Babe, I think I forgot my laptop." And she was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, I don't remember packing it, dude. And the moment that I thought it, I just felt this overwhelming sense of dread. And I was like, what am I gonna do? And then I just like stopped. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that's like a sign. Like I told her it wasn't gonna work. Now I can't work. And she was like, yeah, well, maybe it was meant to be. I was like, I guess so. I was like, you know what? While I'm at it, I'm just going to turn my phone off. So I kept my phone basically on airplane mode the entire time. I used it to take photos, and that was about it. And it was good, man. I think that moments like that kind of put things into perspective a little bit because I I kind of stepped back and I was like, man, it's strange that I felt this like sinking feeling in my gut because I couldn't work. And I was like, the work is gonna be there when I get back, whether I want it to be or not. Like they'll just have to wait. Like that's what it is. Like so I had to like let people know. I was like, listen, I forgot my computer. I'm 4 hours away from home. You're gonna have to wait till I get home. That's what it is.
Yeah. Did your daughter notice a difference, or did you notice a difference in how she reacted?
She was excited. She was like, "Daddy," she's like, "Daddy, it was meant to be." See, she was like, because we always talk about like my dad, I always like watching us. She's like, Pop up, gave you a sign like you need to relax and go on vacation without it. Like you need this. And I was like, yeah, probably right. But no, I don't think that it would have been a distraction either way for her when we were on the trip because I I make it a priority to give her my full attention at all times, like when she's around. So I probably would have just worked when she was sleeping or something like that. But
Yeah. It's so crazy how good of a reminder our kids can be to like um our own shortcomings, our own faults, and like not in a mean way. A lot of times they're just kind of like, hey, this is probably a great thing, and you're like, you don't understand, and they're like, no, actually I think you don't understand, dad.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's funny, man. It's weird because I went to go get my neck tattoo from my dad after he had passed. And I was talking to my daughter. I was like, "Are you gonna be embarrassed, like if I get a tattoo on my neck?" And she's like, "No, Daddy." She's like, "It's okay." And I was like, "Okay, good." And she's like, "Are you nervous?" And I was like, kinda, yeah." And she's like, "Well, guess what, Dad?" She's like, "You only have to sit through it one time, and then it'll be cool there forever." And I'm like, you know what? You're right. So it's just like weird perspective from like a 9 year old that you kind of don't really think about, but they just kind of, it's like their instinct.
yeah, yeah. Is that you have a one on each side of your neck, or just one?
I got this cardinal tattoo, and then this past weekend I got this poppy tattoo from my dad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the cardinal tattoo is super meaningful for me because after the day after my dad had passed, it was 2 months ago on the 4th, and I was sitting down by the water, and I was like, Dad, I was like, I just want to see you one more time. And then I saw like this bright red bird fly up from like a tree. I was like, what the hell was that? So I got out my phone real quick, and a cardinal landed like directly in front of me, like in the tree. So I just sat there filming it, and I was like, this is bizarre. And then it kept happening. Like everywhere we would go, I would see it, and I would be sitting on my back deck, and I would hear the cardinal, and then it would come land on the deck. And I told my wife, I'm like, this is the most bizarre thing. Like in 13 years, 12 years we've lived here, we've never seen one. So I started looking up into the meaning of it, and apparently it's a thing. And it's bizarre when I tell people because they're like, "Oh, you're crazy! Like you're like you're going off the deep end." I'm like, "No, I felt it. Like this was like a sign or something." So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
That's really cool. And now, like, I mean, it's hard to hide a neck tattoo. And so now it's like ever present, like everywhere you go, which is really cool.
yeah. And I mean, I'm fully covered anyway. And I think at this point in life, I'll be 39 this year. So I'm like slowly going into the stage of I just don't care anymore. Like if I have to go work at Home Depot cutting lumber with a neck because I have a neck tattoo, that is fine. I'll freelance and go cut wood or something. I don't know.
I can think of worse things that you would have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. Um, yeah, cardinals. We have one of those bird feeders that suction cup to your window, and so we have like this large window in our living room. So it's suction cup to it, and I'm like constantly filling that thing with bird food. But cardinals, goldfinches, woodpeckers, they all come, and my wife actually has a thing with goldfinches similar to the cardinal, but it's yeah, I remember when her dad passed, we saw a cardinal sitting in a bush one day, and her mom was like, "This cardinal keeps coming by." So I'm with you. It's a thing.
It is, man. And it's crazy because I guess from an outside perspective to other people, it sounds a little bit bizarre, but I guess when you're going through it, you feel the connection, and it's just hard to kind of shake it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and it feels in a way like even if it's not a thing, quote unquote, you're noticing it.
Yeah,
So like it is a thing. Like you didn't notice that before, and it's opened your eyes and your mind to something new. Like tomorrow will be 3 days since my father-in-law passed, or sorry, 3 years since my father-in-law passed, and like still, you have this memory, you see that, and whether it's a sign or just an attuneness that you're like noticing these things, there's something different, which is just it's it's crazy how life works.
it is crazy, man. And it's crazy when you go through something like that, how much you do start to notice, like you said, things that you probably haven't in the past.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's like when I was visiting my mom shortly after it happened. Um, and I went before when my dad was sick. He came home from the hospital, and my dad had planted these evergreen trees in the backyard to kind of block out the houses that they just built behind us. And these trees were probably, I don't know, 2 feet tall when he had planted them. And the one day he was sick, I was like, I'm gonna go outside and just kind of like look around. So I was just standing in the backyard looking at these trees, and they must be 25 feet tall now. And I got home that day, and I'm just journaling, and I was thinking, like, you don't really stop to notice time as it passes until like, and it was kind of like this metaphor that I use until you're standing at like the foot of like a 20-foot tall tree, like looking back and trying to remember. And dude, this stuff's so hard for me to talk about.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and I was going through his drawer one day after he had passed, and in the back of his like sock drawer or something, he had two pictures. He had a picture of him and my mom, and a picture of when he first planted the trees. And I was like, Jesus, this is wild. Like, and it just goes back to what you said about how like you start noticing things, and like I guess it's kind of like a reassurance that you're on the right path. Like when something like that happens, I was just kind of like, wow, man, like all the pictures he could have taken, all the pictures he could have saved. He saved a picture of 3 trees that he planted. And I just so happened to be like relating this and using it as a metaphor for life for the past like 2 months. And it was just bizarre.
Yeah. Has any of this changed or impacted the way that you think of yourself as a father for your daughter? Um, Maybe in ways that previous would have just kind of gone by the wayside, but now you're just more in tune.
I guess in some ways it helped me to pay better attention. But I've always been kind of somebody who, ever since my daughter was born, I would give my full attention to my daughter. Like that was it. Like when I was around my daughter, it was nothing else. Like she's always been the number one priority, like my full attention. Um, but yeah, I guess I've learned to appreciate time a lot more because you don't really, if you don't really stop to think about it, man, it just passes you by, and then you're just stuck looking up at a 20-foot tall tree, wondering how it got so big. And it's crazy because like when it all happened, and I guess I kind of put myself in my dad's shoes. I'm like, I couldn't imagine like me laying in the bed and like my daughter standing there. Like, how would I feel? Like
Mm,
you're leaving behind like everything basically. So it kind of shifts perspective a ton. Like it's probably the most pivotal moment aside from when my daughter was born that kind of changed everything.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing. I know this is still very new and raw. So thanks for being willing.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And I knew, like I told you, I've been asked to do tons of podcasts over the past like 16 years. Turned every single one down. And then you sent me the message, and I was like, you know what? Like, maybe this is the time to just like speak and just talk. I
Yeah.
don't know. We'll
Yeah.
find out.
And I hope, you know, I hope if someone hears this or listens to it and it's meaningful and impactful for them too. I know, I mean, I'm always grateful for every single guest that's willing to open up and share any story with me because I think it's such a gift. Um, it's such a gift. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, I wanted to ask you two more questions before we go. And they are, as a dad, what's been your greatest joy? And what has been your biggest learning?
My greatest joy. I was thinking about this kind of the other day when I sent you the message and you told me about the question. So there's this one memory that I have that I kind of reflect on continuously. So we have this we're on the water on the river here, our house, and we have this path that goes along the river around a big hill. So the one day my daughter and I we usually take walks there, sit on the bench, watch the sunset. And the one day she was like, Daddy, can I run up the hill? And usually I'll tell her no. I'll be like, no, it's too dirty, or I don't want you to get like ticks because the grass is long. And that day I was just like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I don't know why, but I took my phone out to record it. And she just started like skipping along like the ridge of the hill. And her hair was just like blowing in the wind. And she got to the bottom of the hill and she just like kept turning around to look at me to see if I was like behind her. So she went around the path and I could see her turning around constantly to see if I was following her and I was still there. So she got to the water to the bench that we sit at and she just stood there and watched the sun. And I was just, I was just kind of reflecting on it ever since then. And it's been like a constant memory that stuck with me that like, when is the last time, like, when is the last time she's going to like turn around to like look for me or like know that I'm there? And it was just, I guess you kind of get like, kind of sentimental when you're a dad. So that was just kind of like a memory that I consistently always go back to.
I'm always say to my wife, when's the last time I'll carry one of these girls up to bed? You know?
It's crazy, right? Like I consistently every day I think about that, man. It's like when is the last time like I'm gonna like pick her up or like there's already been the last time when she's asked me to sing her a song to go to sleep and like you don't know when it's gonna be. And I always tell people like you have to be present because it's the last time. Like you don't know.
Yeah, and what about biggest learning as a dad?
Because learning as a dad, Jesus, there's been so much, man. It's like I don't. I guess to just to be more present and just have more of an appreciation for time, man. I don't. I think I'm constantly learning. Like she has taught me so much just about myself. Like I used to be. I don't know if I can. You're such an a hole. Like I used to be like the biggest dick and just like not really care about things. I was kind of just like f you, kind of whatever. And it's just totally changed my entire like perspective about life and about how to appreciate like small things, even if like the joy that I just shared with you, like it might not seem like a significant moment, but like just to appreciate insignificant things or seemingly insignificant things is something that I've kind of learned.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Well, again, I want to thank you for coming on, for doing this, for sharing about your design work, your family. If folks wanted to see your work or follow you online or connect with you, where can they go to do that?
You could, I guess my Instagram would be the best case right now. It's at dan.activebrand. And my website will be up within the next 10 years, I assume. So I'm hoping by the end of this year, I will have a suitable website up and be able to showcase all of the beautiful work that I've been able to accomplish.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for asking me.